Okay, we're starting Be'ez Hashem, the parsha of Vayomer, the third perek of Krishma. Let's begin, Rabbi, the parsha of Tzitzis. We know that, of course, we mentioned at the beginning of Tzitzis, of Krishma, that there is a machlokes whether or not which paragraph is Daraisa. So this also, of course, is a machlokes whether it's a Daraisa or a Darabanan. But it doesn't really make a difference simply because it includes the Yesod of Tzias Mitzrayim, which we know is a Daraisa to remember every morning and every evening. And as we'll get to the words in a moment, we're going to try to finish off the entire paragraph today, Be'ez Hashem. There's a Gemara in Brachos Daf Yud on base that tells us as follows. Says the Gemara, Parshas Tzitzis, mipnei ma kavua. What's the reason why there are kaveya Parshas Tzitzis here? Omer Reb Yehuda bar Chaviva, mipnei sheyesh bo chamisha dvorim. There are 5 specific things that have been incorporated into Kriya Shema, specifically, and that's why we need this paragraph over here as part of Kriya Shema. So when you say this paragraph as part of Kriya Shema, make sure you remember the 5 things. Number 1, again, this is a Gemara Brachos Yud Beis Amar Beis. Number 1, Mitzvah Tzitzis. Okay, that's pretty obvious. This week's parasha. Number 2, Yitzias Mitzrayim for Chutz La'aretz. Yitzias Mitzrayim. All mitzvahs. That's the yoke of mitzvahs. Das Haminim. Right. That's those the people, the heretics. And Hira Aveira, V'Hira Avodah Zarah. Right, so you've got all of these 5 incorporated within the mitzvah of tzitzis over there, and let's go through the words. Shteit hazoy, Vayomer Hashem el Moshe lema, dabel b'nei Yisrael v'amar lehem v'osu lehem tzitzis al kanfei bigdeihem. Right, we know the specifically here is obviously the makar, the source to make tzitzis. If you have a dalad canvas beged, if you had a 4-cornered garment, you make tzitzis on that garment over there, and therefore the whole purpose, of course, is the Gemara Menachos discusses this barichas, that the reason that the tzitzis is, as we'll get to in a moment, remembering all the mitzvahs, is that it reminds us of who we are. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, there's a Zoya Kodesh, where the Zoya Kodesh brings down that if a person wears tzitzis, that is the beged of a yid. It's sort of, so to speak, it's your membership of being a yid, and therefore when you're wearing tzitzis and you're putting it on, not only are you accepting upon that the mitzvahs of Hashem, which we'll talk about in a minute by remembering it, but it stands for all of the mitzvahs and it's the clothing of a yid. Now we also know that the white strands, again we're talking about the Torah where there was white and blue for the tcheles, so the white strand represent the mitzvahs loy saseh, and the blue tcheles strands actually represent the mitzvahs aseh, which means altogether we got on the Urisa Masorah Zachatim as kola mitzvahs because you got the aseh and the loy saseh over there. Well, you could say it's still over there because it applies even now with white nowadays. For also them tzitzis, I'll come for big day for all future generations, meaning not only for that generation, but for all future generations. That means even though now we don't have tcheles, but it's still a mitzvah that applies for all generations, even if you cannot makar in the mitzvah of tcheles. V'nosnu al tzitzis hakonot psil tcheles. And you should place, if you can, on the corner, at least the thread of tcheles over there. Of course, if you have Vahoyer Lachem tzitzis, and these should be your tzitzis in that case, which means they are meant to be a scene, of course, and they also are a shmira for dvorim ha-metamim esalev, they're for impure thoughts and various impulses that a person may have during the day, and that's why we specifically wear a talis cotton to remind us and to have that shmira the whole time. Without going to the details of how exactly that works, the Gemara in Menachos talks about this barichas and Memeim and Aleph, that talks about how we look at the tcheles, and the tcheles reminds us of the yam, of the sea, and the sea reminds us of the shamayim, and the shamayim reminds us of kisei hakavod, right? And therefore it's all reminding us of all the mitzvahs and our obligation to the Rebbeinu Shalom by seeing the tzitzis. It's all very nice to remember the mitzvahs, but if you're not going to do the mitzvahs, right, the Gemara in Kedushin tells us famously, Talmud meivi l'dei maisa. Talmud learning is in order to do. And therefore, Re'isem oiso zachartem is kind of mitzvahs. Very nice, we remember the mitzvahs, but also, va'asisem oisom. We actually would like to fulfill all the mitzvahs. Which is very important, means don't go after your heart and your eyes. Rashi brings down clearly, Halei v'hainayim hei meraglim l'guf, that means the heart and the eye are the investigators, the meraglim, for the body, and they basically start getting involved with Averis, which means they look around at the world and often find and look at the wrong impression of the world, similar to the meraglim that came into Eretz Yisrael and looked and got the wrong impression of Eretz Yisrael at that time and came back with Lashon Hara. You're going to stray. So you'll remember and you'll do all the mitzvahs. Should be holy to the Rebbeinu Shalom. I am Hashem, took you out of Mitzrayim in order to be your God. By the way, saying this pasuk, have kavana. This is the mitzvah da'oraisa that we have to have Yitzias Mitzrayim in mind every morning and every evening. So when you say this part, right, make sure you remember your Mekayim and Mitzvah Daraisa. The four-lettered name Yud Kei Vav Kei refers to the Midas Harachamim. Rashi brings down, according to Sifri, that we say Ani Hashem over here means Nemon L'Shalem Schar. I am trusted to pay for all of the wonderful things that you do in this world. You can rely on me to give you reward for that which you do. Rashi continues, Eloheichem refers to Midas Hadin. Nemon Lipora means that you can be assured that the Rebbeinu Shalom will punish for any misdeed that a person may do. Ani Hashem Eloheichem, we repeat, as Rav Victor Miller brings down, not only for that which is the past, but also for the future as well. That means the Rebbeinu Shalom is always Bashkacha Pratas looking after our lives, and he's pulling all the strings, and we have to have emunah in the Rebbeinu Shalom at that time. That ends the paragraph of Kriya Shema.